Alex Eala versus Maya Joint, the rematch fans waited a whole year for, finally happened, and this time there would be no heartbreak. A year ago, 4 championship points slipped through Eala's fingers on the grass of Eastbourne. Nobody forgot it, least of all her. Now, on the same surface that broke her heart, she'd get one more chance to answer the question that haunted her for 365 days. Could she finally beat the girl who beat her? If you've been waiting for this moment as long as she has, stay with me, because what happened next was worth every second of the wait.
Alex, wow, huge congratulations into the third round of a major for the very first time in your career. Just how hard have you been working towards this?
I have been working extremely hard. My team over there has been working extremely hard, and I really feel like, it's paying off. So these wins mean a lot. Yeah.
Talk me through the match a little bit, because it seemed like Maya came out all guns blazing, playing some great tennis, and I guess you had to regroup a little bit in that second set. What was the match like for you? How did you navigate your way through it?
Yeah, I really had to dig deep, especially after that first set, like you said. Maya came out on fire, she came out ready, and I was expecting a really good match. Of course, we've competed within some very good conditions before, so I was prepared for a good match. She obviously is coming off an amazing win.
Yeah.
I watched it, and I think she played really well and handled herself really well in that situation. So congratulations to Maya. Yeah, so knowing that, I really had to dig deep.
Was it also nice to get a little bit of revenge for that final in Eastbourne last year? I mean, that went down to the match tiebreak, and now you won here at Wimbledon in 3 sets.
Yeah, it's funny. So for those who don't know, we had an insane match last year at Eastbourne, and I lost, and it hit me quite hard. I cried a lot, and I don't think I was able to watch those highlights for a couple of months. So I'm really happy. I think I improved a lot in this past year, and I'm happy that I'm able to look back at that loss, and I'm able to smile. And also, today, before I forget, is my coach's birthday, guys. So let's say happy birthday!
To understand why this rematch meant so much, you have to go back to June of 2025. 2 teenagers, both hungry, both unproven on the biggest stages, found themselves on a collision course at a grass court tournament in Eastbourne, England. Alex Eala was not supposed to be there. She wasn't even in the main draw. The Filipina had to fight her way in through qualifying, grinding past opponent after opponent just to earn the right to compete. Ranked 74th in the world at the time, she was the underdog's underdog, a rising talent from the Philippines carrying the hopes of a nation that had never seen one of its own reach a WTA singles final.
New ground for Alexandra Eala from the Philippines.
On the other side of the net stood Maya Joint. The 19-year-old Australian was no stranger to winning. She had already claimed a title that year on the clay of Rabat, and she arrived in Eastbourne with the kind of quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are on a tennis court. ranked 51st in the world, Joint was the more experienced of the two, the more battle-tested, the player everyone expected to come out on top. But tennis has a way of writing its own story, doesn't it? Eala didn't just qualify for the tournament, she tore through it. She dispatched Zeynep Sanmez, she survived a marathon three-setter against Hailey Baptiste, and when she toppled 20th-ranked Jelena Ostapenko, the tennis world started to take notice. By the time she reached the final, Eala had already made history. She was the first Filipina to ever reach a WTA singles final. Win or lose, that achievement alone would have been remarkable. But Eala didn't want to just make history, she wanted to win it. Across the net, Joint had carved her own path to the final, riding the same wave of belief that had carried her to a title just weeks earlier. Two rising stars, two very different journeys, one final, and neither of them had any idea that what was about to unfold would haunt one of them for an entire year. Because when these two players walked onto Devonshire Park that Saturday afternoon, nobody, not the fans, not the commentators, not even the players themselves, could have predicted just how brutal, how beautiful, and how unforgettable their battle would become. It would be the youngest Eastbourne final in 44 years. It would last 2 hours and 26 minutes, and it would end in a way that would define both of their careers for the next 12 months. This wasn't just a tennis match, this was the beginning of a rivalry. And rivalries, the real ones, are never decided in a single afternoon. So, what actually happened out there on that grass court? Why did this match become the one that fans couldn't stop talking about, the one that Eala herself couldn't let go of? Let's get into it. The Eastbourne final didn't start the way anyone expected. Maya Joint came out firing, and within minutes it looked like the match might be over before it even began. Joint raced to a 3-0 lead in the opening set, her aggressive baseline game overwhelming Eala's returns. The Australian pushed the advantage further, building a commanding 5-2 cushion. Eala clawed back 2 games, briefly threatening at 5-4, but a string of unforced errors let Joint close out the set 6-4. One set down, and the doubters had their answer ready. This was going exactly as predicted. But here's the thing about Alex Eala. She has never been a player who quits when the script goes against her. This wasn't the first time in that very tournament she had needed to come back from a set down. It was, in fact, the third. In the second set, something shifted. Eala found her rhythm. She started dictating points instead of chasing them. She jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and where Joint had dominated the first set, now it was Eala's turn to take over. She allowed Joint just a single game the rest of the way, closing out the set 6-1. The match was level. The crowd, sensing something special, leaned in. And then came the third set, the one that would define everything. Eala kept the pressure on, building a seemingly comfortable lead. She pushed ahead 2-0, and it looked, for a moment, like destiny was finally on her side. The first Filipina to win a WTA singles title. The first qualifier to win Eastbourne since 2010. History within reach. But Joint wasn't done. The Australian teenager reeled off 4 straight games, flipping the momentum entirely. Just as suddenly, though, Eala clawed her way back, winning 8 consecutive points to level the set at 4-4. From there, neither player would face a single break point. 2 fighters, refusing to blink, pushed the match into a deciding tiebreak. This is where it happened. This is the moment that would echo for an entire year. Eala found herself with not 1, not 2, but 4 championship points. 4 chances to close out the biggest win of her young career. 4 chances to become a WTA champion. She fought for every single one of them. On her 4th championship point, she found the corner with a forehand to take a 10-9 lead. She was 1 point away. And then, agonizingly, it slipped away. 2 attacking errors in a row let Joint claw back to 11-10 and seize her own championship point. She converted it. The final score, 6-4, 1-6, 7, 10, 10. 12 points to 10 in the breaker, a margin so thin it's almost cruel. Eala had done everything right. She had fought back from a set down, she had built the lead, she had earned 4 chances at glory, and still, somehow, it wasn't enough. How do you walk away from a match like that? How do you process coming that close only to watch it slip through your fingers not once, but 4 times? That question would follow Alex Eala for the next 365 days. When the final point landed, the emotion on Eala's face told the whole story. This wasn't just a loss, this was heartbreak in its purest form, the kind that only comes when you've given absolutely everything and still fallen agonizingly short. In her post-match comments, reported by the WTA, Eala kept her composure with remarkable grace. She said she wanted to congratulate Maya for a great match and a great tournament. It was the kind of statement that revealed exactly who Alex Eala is as a competitor. Even in her most devastating moment, she found room for sportsmanship. But make no mistake, beneath those measured words was a young woman absolutely gutted by what had just happened. Maya Joint, for her part, didn't pretend the match had been easy. Speaking to reporters afterward, she admitted just how difficult the battle had been. She said Alex had played really well, that she had tested her, that after the first set, Eala got a lot more aggressive with her shots, forcing Joint onto the back foot for most of the match. She talked about needing to fight her way back into it. There was no gloating in her words, just the honest relief of a champion who knew exactly how close she had come to losing. And that's what made this final resonate so deeply with fans around the world. This wasn't a case of one player dominating another. This was 2 evenly matched competitors, both delivering career-defining performances, with the outcome coming down to a handful of points in a tiebreak that could have gone either way. The reaction back home in the Philippines was enormous. Eala hadn't won the title, but she had made history simply by getting there, becoming the first Filipina to ever reach a WTA singles final. It was a moment so significant that it reached the highest levels of government. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. issued a public statement praising her run, telling her that the whole country had watched her make history, and that reaching a WTA final was already a victory for the millions of Filipinos standing behind her. He told her to keep going, that her best days were still ahead. Think about that for a moment. A tennis match that ended in heartbreak still became a source of national pride. That's the strange, beautiful duality of sports, the way a loss can simultaneously be a devastating personal failure and a monumental collective triumph. But statements and headlines don't erase the sting of 4 blown championship points. They don't replace the trophy that was so agonizingly close. And for Alex Eala, somewhere beneath the gracious quotes and the presidential praise, there had to be a fire quietly building. A promise to herself, whether she said it out loud or not. This isn't over. Because when you come that close to history and watch it disappear in a tiebreak, you don't just move on, you carry it with you. And the tennis world would soon find out exactly how far that fire would take her. The months that followed Eastbourne told 2 very different stories, and that contrast is exactly what made the eventual rematch so irresistible. For Alex Eala, the loss didn't break her. If anything, it seemed to light something inside her. Over the following year, she climbed relentlessly up the rankings, transforming from a 74th ranked qualifier into a genuine top-tier threat on the WTA Tour. By the time the summer grass swing rolled back around in 2026, Eala had rocketed to 32nd in the world. She had claimed a title in Birmingham. She had scored statement wins over established stars like Elena Rybakina and Alina Svitolina. This was not the same player who had walked off that Eastbourne court in tears. This was a competitor who had used heartbreak as fuel. And then there was Wimbledon itself. Eala arrived at the All-England Club with something to prove on a much bigger stage. In 2 previous appearances at the tournament, she had never once advanced past the first round. That changed in 2026, when she defeated Renata Zarazua in straight sets, 6-1, 6-2, earning her first ever main draw Wimbledon victory and becoming the first Filipina player ever to be seeded at the tournament. After the win, Eala reflected on her form, saying she was very happy with how she had played, that she had kept her intensity throughout, and that she was hoping to carry that same momentum forward through the tournament. Momentum, as it turned out, was exactly what she'd need, because waiting for her in the second round was a name she hadn't forgotten. Maya Joint's year, meanwhile, had gone in almost the opposite direction. After her Eastbourne triumph, Joint had soared as high as world number 28 in March of 2026, genuinely elite territory. But then came the kind of slump that can swallow even the most talented young players. She lost 13 of her next 17 matches, and her ranking cratered all the way down to 87th in the world. The same player who had once denied Eala her breakthrough title was now searching for her own form, her own confidence, her own identity on tour. And yet, just before crossing paths with Eala again, Joint delivered a performance that reminded everyone why she was so dangerous in the first place. In the Wimbledon first round, she faced none other than seven-time champion Serena Williams, who had made a return to the tournament. Joint won 6-3, 6-7, 6-3, a statement victory that proved, slump or no slump, she was still capable of magic on grass. So here they were again, one player rising with unstoppable momentum, one player rediscovering her spark at the perfect moment, both of them, in their own ways, arriving at the same crossroads exactly 1 year after their unforgettable Eastbourne battle. Fans online couldn't believe the timing. The very tournament draw had reunited two players whose first meeting had become the stuff of legend. Nobody had to manufacture this storyline. The universe had written it for them. The only question left was simple. After everything both of them had been through, who would walk away with the answer this time? When the Wimbledon draw was released and Eala's name appeared next to Joint's in the second round, the tennis world lit up almost instantly. This wasn't just another early round matchup buried in a sea of first-week fixtures. This was unfinished business, playing out on the world's biggest stage. Eala herself didn't shy away from what this match meant. Speaking after her opening round win, she addressed the upcoming rematch directly, saying she'd had a really great match with Maya the year before, and that she'd loved the chance to improve on some of the things she felt she could have done better in that match. It was a remarkably honest admission, not bitterness, not revenge talk, just the quiet determination of a competitor who knew exactly what she wanted to fix. And what made the moment even richer was the head-to-head reality hanging over both players. Joint held a 1-0 lead in their series, and by the numbers, she carried real advantages into the rematch, a strong recent record against left-handed players like Eala, and the psychological edge of knowing she had already found a way to win the biggest point when it mattered most. On paper, this was still Joint's rivalry to control. But paper doesn't account for growth. It doesn't account for a full year of a player rebuilding her game, climbing 42 spots in the rankings, and walking onto grass with a level of belief she simply didn't have 12 months earlier. When the match finally began on July 2, 2026, it seemed for a moment like history might repeat itself in the cruelest way possible. Joint took the first set, 6-3, and the ghosts of Eastbourne must have felt awfully close. Was this about to be another chapter of near misses? Another gut punch for a player who had already given everything once before and come up just short? Eala had other plans. Something clicked in the second set. She dominated, taking it 6-2, and suddenly the match had a completely different tone. The Eala who had once let a 2-0 third set lead slip away in Eastbourne was nowhere to be found. In her place was a player who had spent a full year learning exactly how to finish what she started. And then came the third set, a set that would become one of the most emphatic statements of Eala's young career. She broke through 6 deuces in the very first game to seize control. She held that intensity, piling up game after game, denying Joint any real foothold. By the time it was over, Eala had blanked Joint completely in the deciding set, winning it 6-0. The final score read 3-6, 6-2, 6-0 in Eala's favor. Think about the symmetry of that moment. A year earlier, Eala had led 2-0 in a deciding third set and watched it unravel. This time, she didn't just protect a lead, she obliterated her opponent in that same crucial final set, refusing to give Joint a single game. This was more than a win. This was closure. So, as this rivalry moves forward, and make no mistake, after 2 matches this dramatic, it will move forward, the question fans are already asking is simple. Was Wimbledon 2026 the final word between these two, or just the second chapter in something much bigger? Only time and the next time these two share a court will tell us that answer. What did you think of Eala's redemption story? Do you think this rivalry is just getting started? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories in women's tennis. We'll see you in the next one.